I know I told you guys I would be doing a video on talking about just pregnancy in Germany. I'm not sure when you can see, but I'm not pregnant anymore. I end up having my baby boy early at 36 weeks here. Um, First child, so I really can't say what the experience would have been like stateside with premature labor, but I can't say anything but great things about my experience here with pregnancy in Germany. But I did want to get some little 411 out there to any of you civilians that's coming over here, even spousal that's coming over here. I did have to take like a few notes because it was so much. I was like, I want to make sure I touch bases on a few things to tell you guys, because in my previous blogs, I see quite a few of you guys will come back with great questions. So I'll be doing like some ins and outs that are doing like a long video just to kind of give you guys a few little. All right, so the first thing I definitely want to touch base on here in Germany, one thing I would say is the doctor that you see, or as we always say, your OBGYN, that you will see here would not be the same doctor that would deliver your baby. Unless you're going to the hospital. So I have heard a lot of people say that they'll do their prenatal care in the hospital setting. That way they already be comfortable with the doctors that's there to deliver their babies. In my situation, I end up going through two different doctors here. Both were great. Don't get me wrong. Both were great. My first doctor, like I said, I found out through blood at 7 weeks here. Every exam here in Germany, the OBGYNs, they do an ultrasound. They're very thorough. At 22 weeks, well, at 18 weeks for me, I was having issues with my cervix. So they was talking about the cerclage procedure. But here in Germany, they really don't start it to 24 weeks unless there's like an absolute emergency. Well, at 22 weeks for me, my cervix open, and I have to give all praises to my doctor, Dr. Peters here in the Bavaria area in Weiden. He was able to catch it right away, got me to the hospital. I was able to get the cerclage procedure, which is just a stitch of stitching up your cervix to allow the baby to stay in longer. As I stated, I had him early. Yes, my water broke. The plan was to have the stitches removed before I gave birth for my due date. However, it went opposite. So when my water broke, contractions was coming, got to the hospital, they was able to remove the stitches right away. Normally, when you're having your doctor visits and the prenatal care in the beginning, it's every 4 weeks that you're going. Unless you're high risk, a lot of times they have you come like every 2 weeks. In my situation, as it got closer, because I had got a little bit on the high risk level, preeclampsia, different things was going on, I was seeing my doctor every week. Now, if you're coming over here as a DOD civilian and you're working, 9 times out of 10, insurance will be Aetna. So if you're in my situation, I transfer already being with DOD. My group number stay the same. It's just it becomes Aetna International. So you are considered private insurance, even TRICARE. One thing I learned here is being out living in the economy. Anytime I go to like a doctor, go somewhere, the first thing they say is, "Hey, you got TRICARE," because they're so used to the military community. So when you're looked at as private insurance, you kind of looked at like you up here, because 9 times out of 10, you're either going to pay up front because they know they're going to get their money they're going to get their money regardless. For me in my situation, my first doctor, I would just bill Aetna. I would pay them, bill Aetna reimburse me. When I started going to the other doctor, which a lot of people go to Dr. Riddle, which is in Amber, about 45 minutes away, his doula there, which that's another good thing I got to talk about, is the doulas here in Bavaria. Went ahead and started a claim sheet, so they would just send the claims to Aetna and go from there. So just wanted to say that. In the beginning, you do get those vaginal ultrasounds for like the 6 to 7 weeks in the beginning period, and then go into on top. Very thorough with checking. I know at 20 weeks here in Germany, they send you for something called a I forgot the term just that quick, but it's a pretty much like a like going as you're going into your second, like you went through your first trimester, so it's like it's a diagnostic test. They go in and check. I forgot the term to use first, but they go in to check and make sure like there's nothing going on with the baby as far as like the neck, the blood vessels, checking for infection, diseases. It's very thorough. I had to go an hour out just to go get that taken care of. So, all right. So I talked about private insurance. Very cautious. They check everything. Once they confirm you're pregnant, you start going to the doctors. You will get something that's called a mother pass. And like I stated, the OBGYN that you're seeing is not the one who delivers your baby. So what happens is every time you go to a doctor visit, they're notating everything in here. That way when you go to the hospital, you go somewhere, this is going with you. Your mother pass during your pregnancy is like having your driver's license, just being straight up honest with you. With the ultrasounds too, you get 3Ds as well. My first doctor here allowed me to bring in a flash drive, and he was able to put like all pictures of every visit. And then the second doctor I started going to, and the only reason why I switched doctors is that Germans are really thorough with, if there's any risk, they will take you off work. And they was trying to put me under their maternity act here and wanted me off work until I gave birth. I had already been on bed rest like 3 or 4 times. I was like, ah. So the second doctor was able to do more thorough checking, and I was just on limited restrictions for work. But the second doctor, he has where he would give you like an iCloud type of link, and every visit, all your pictures will go on there. So thought that was really great. At 32 weeks here in Germany, you can go ahead and start registering with hospitals. Now, one thing I will say that I really appreciate is the networking over here. I joined a new and expecting mommies group army page, and of course everybody have their own experience. Some people have good experience, some have not so good experience at hospitals, but here in the Bavaria area, a lot of people talk about either Weiden, Amberg, Sulzbach. Some people go to Regensburg or Nuremberg. So Amberg is known as this big hospital. It does have a NICU, but Weiden has one as well. And that's where I delivered my baby at. In Weiden. Being that it was premature labor, I felt comfortable even with the NICU itself. All hospitals have reputations to a certain extent. Some people come over here, and us as U.S. citizens, when we're coming to another country, everybody's mindset is different. So you have to wrap your mind around that it's not the same. In my situation, it's my first child, so I don't know the comparison of the U.S. In that situation. But at 32 weeks, you get to register at a hospital. You get to sit down and register with the anesthesiologist as well. Use myself for an example. I had this mindset of I don't want an epidural, I don't want anything, but you still go through the process of understanding if an emergency happened, X, Y, and Z, understanding what kind of medication they give, the risk behind different things. I didn't even know there was 2 different types of epidural myself. One that can go straight through the spinal, and one that goes in between the spinal and one of the something in the back where your bone at, because they put a catheter in and they can just insert medication. After 31 hours of going through labor, I decided to go ahead and get the catheter one, and then 7 hours later I end up having him, but the last 30 minutes no medication, so defeats, right? The hospitals, so labor and delivery, you're in the room by yourself, you, your spouse, you, your doula, whatever. I had a doula. I will put down in the link as well the Doulas of Bavaria page. It was the best thing ever, from anti to birth, and now currently dealing with postpartum with my doula. Just reducing a lot of stress off of you, helping you. A birth plan, I would definitely suggest being overseas, having a good birth plan, because they do certain things that's just a given for them. One thing I learned was that when you get like close to like your 37, 38, doctors will automatically here just go ahead and scrape your membrane. Everybody might not want that. I was just using for an example for one reason. But, just kind of be in detail in your birth plan. Do you want to be monitored every hour of the heartbeat? Now, do you not want to? Do you want your baby washed right away? Just all this different stuff you can put in there. But the rooms. So some of the hospitals do have private rooms where after you deliver your baby, you may have a private room. But 9 to 10, you're gonna be in the family room. So I think that was probably my only experience of saying I couldn't get really a lot of rest because you're in rooms with other moms and babies. Or here in Germany, any vitamins, anything you need to be on, they would definitely give you a prescription to do that. You can still use those prescriptions to file with your private insurance. One thing I did learn here in Germany is that they can't force you to stay in the hospital like after delivery to say, oh, you gotta stay here 2 or 3, 4, or 5 days. You can sign yourself out. I notice a lot of people will leave the hospital like within 12 hours or so. They don't want to stay. But if I had to suggest to anybody, now in my situation, my child did go straight to the NICU, but if I would have had a full term delivery, I still would have stayed in the hospital. I stayed from Saturday to Monday, but I still would have stayed at least 4 days. The reason why I say that is that for DOD civilians, for us in general, even though on base have a clinic, we all are going to see doctors on the economy, right? So what happens is it's best to stay in there for those 4 days. That way your baby can go ahead and be seen by the pediatrician in the hospital. And what they do for the babies here is they end up giving them something called a yellow book. So you as the mom had the mother pass, the baby gets a yellow book. The yellow book goes from U1, which is when they born, to U11. And it just pretty much go out to up until they're probably, the year. To their 18, pretty much. It just tells you the time frame of when they'll go. So it's good because that way, as you're looking for a pediatrician out in the economy, DOD civilians, or whatnot. Now, I think a lot of spouses all just use the clinic as a TRICARE. But that way you'll have everything notated in here. But I definitely suggest staying longer. I know some women would have their baby and be gone within 5-7 hours. Like, I got to get home. I got other kids, In regards to birth certificates in Germany, the hospital that you have the baby in have a registration office that you can go to. You do the paperwork to register your child. In my previous blogs, I told you guys that when you get over here, you get a German bank account. A lot of things over here is so easy, accessible, that all you have to do is just have an IBAN number and you can just do international pay. Pay 36 euros. They average out to like $43 US dollars. And I actually just got his birth certificate on yesterday. So he was born the 2nd. Yesterday was the 14th. So what, about 11 days? You get a birth certificate, you get an international one, and then you also get a certified one. One is for the Army, one is for you, and then one is for your American passport piece. So I'm definitely going to do a highlight on the eCebra, which is for the report of birth aboard, pretty much, in that situation. But yeah, you register for the birth certificate there in the hospital. Oh, Germans are real big on, I was just so surprised that they had like beer in the hospitals, like in the cafe, the vending machines. They say like lager or dark beer is good for breastfeeding. So I thought that was a plus. Wanted a nurse. The midwives and a lot of the doctors definitely speak a lot of English. I had an awesome midwife in the doula. Let me do another highlight on if you have family coming over, and then I'll talk about the birth of aboard. All right, first thing I want to touch bases on is that right now, currently, I know that so much is going on still with COVID. And stateside, you hear a lot about the Delta variant. We haven't been hearing a lot of things on this end. So when I was probably like 31 weeks, it was still up, about 30, 31 weeks. It was still up in the air about U.S. citizens coming over to Germany. So in the midst of that, you can have your OB write you a medical letter. I went through SATO because currently my parents are here helping me. I went through SATO travel, but what happens is, let's say the borders never open. So let's say you decide your parents going to fly into Frankfurt or Munich. You would email, in my situation, before the borders open, because now U.S. citizens can come over long as they're vaccinated and have their vaccination card. Well, before then, I was just being proactive. You email the German patrol at the airport. So I already went and purchased the flights for my parents. You email the German patrol pretty much explaining the clause. In my situation, you can have immediate relatives come over for pregnancy, and I want to say it's up to I think it's 30 or 60 days before the baby is due, but after the baby is up to 6 months once you deliver a baby. So in the situation with my parents, I had already emailed the German patrol. You send them your orders, your SOFA stamp, the letter from the doctor, the flight itinerary, and your parents' information. In my situation, of course, my mom is married. I had to send my original birth certificate, hers, her marriage certificate. You had to send a whole bunch of stuff to prove, hey, this is my relative, to come over. Was approved, and then like literally a week later, that's when they opened it up for U.S. citizens. So my mom didn't really have to show anything because she already had her vaccination card. But yes, immediate family can come over. Just have that documentation that you need. If you live off base, in my situation, living off base, well, all DOD civilians, you can still get your family access on post if you want to do a daily visitation. But for me, I did an exceptional policy. Just wrote a memo to the commander stating my reasons of, hey, I was high risk, my mom and stepfather to get family pass. That way they can still be able to get on post without going through visitation and all that good stuff. So didn't take long. Took about a week. The commander approved it. Then I went through the installation access comment where you get your ID card, or people just say IAX, and my parents got it. And everything worked itself out great because I didn't know I was going to go on labor early. So it all worked itself out. So that was a plus on that. Doulas, I told you I put the link in the bottom. All right, let's talk about birth of a board and the process of that, because I am currently in that stage. So what happens is you utilize, right here. So on post, there's a passport office, and they have like plenty of documentation. And this is right in my face because I got his birth certificate yesterday, and I went online right away and did it. So this is for the ECBRA. So this is pretty much you just getting a consult report of birth of a board for your child. So birth of United States citizens is if you are a U.S. citizen and you have a child overseas, you should report it right away to the nearest U.S. embassy. In my situation, would be Frankfurt. That way you can report them for birth of a board, and then that way they'll be issued an official record of a child claiming to be a U.S. citizen because I am a U.S. citizen. So the first step is I got the passport. I got the birth certificates from Germany. You go onto the website, which is travelstate.gov. You go through putting the child's information, parents' information. If you are married, you need original documents for both. You need your original documents of birth, your birth certificate, original documents of your passport, and 5 years of proving that you were a U.S. citizen from residency. It can be your school transcript. I use like my W-2s and stuff like that, but you can use different things on there to prove yourself, both parents, including the birth certificate. So if you're going to register for a birth certificate and both parents need to have original and be present with both things, just being honest. If you're married, you definitely got it. But if you're not married, you can kind of be like, okay, it's just me, so I'll just go ahead with just me. But you want to ensure that you have original documents. You do the process online, you put all the information in. Then what happens is here, because we already affiliated with Army, and I like this part, is that passport will tell you in the contact information to use the passport office information. That way the embassy in Frankfurt will send everything to the passport office here, and you have your interview there. Now, I have seen in a group where some spouse, they may be in a rush, they're about to get rid of PCS, and they're like, forget it, I'm just going to drive to Frankfurt and do my interview. But I'm just going to wait patiently for that. It's $100 fee to do the report of birth of abortion. Once you do that, you're just waiting, which I'm in that stage now. The passport office will contact you. Once they contact you, you take all your original documents with you. They will take a picture of your baby for a passport. 9 out of 10, most people are going in for a no fee. A no fee passport is stating that, okay, you are a U.S. citizen. You pretty much is only taking your child back to the United States. Or you can apply for a tourist passport, and I think it's 115 or something. I think it's on one of those papers. That way you can be able to take your child throughout. Now, I will tell you this. If you're not married and say the father is still stateside, can be here on time for birth or in the process, or cannot, there is a form that the passport will, on this packet, it tells you all the forms. One of the forms is that the parent can get a lot of stuff, like power of attorney, and get stuff notarized stateside and sent to you. But if he's present or she's present, both parents and the child and all the documentations are needed for the interview process, and you go from there. Once you finish the passport portion, then the passport office will help you apply for a social security card for your child. I know it's a lot, right? Yeah, it's a lot, but it can be done. Also wanted to throw out there to DOD civilians. So October 2020, OPM, Office of Personnel Management, Pentagon had approved that we as DOD civilians will be authorized 12 weeks of paid, they call it Paternal Leave Act. So that is a blessing. So I thought to just let you guys know that that is one thing to throw out there, that we get the same benefits as an active duty will get. So in my situation, it's so funny because since it got passed in October 2020, of course, COVID's going on. I'm the first to really experience it in the area I'm at. So it's kind of great because now we all, as a leadership team, kind of know how it all works. It's a process of doing paperwork, but hey, 12 weeks, can be at home, you can get things together. Definitely can start registering your child if you want to do child care through Military Child Care Act. You can do all that stuff while you're at home. But yeah, thought to share my experience, just enjoying this, being a mom and the help from my parents. But hopefully this was very helpful to you guys. I know I've been telling you guys I'll give you one, but yeah. Oh, it was one more thing I wanted to throw out to you guys was if you having a boy, I know here in Germany, not that it's illegal to circumcise young boys, but they do feel like it is a bodily harm to the body. So I know, like, I've heard plenty of people say, like, stateside, like, once you have a boy, they, before you discharge from the hospital, they'll circumcise them, X, Y, and Z. In my situation here, on post, of course, U.S. soil, you are able to get the procedure done on post because they don't offer it here on the economy. So I definitely want to throw that out there. So yeah, Graf Health Clinic or Vilsec both do it as well.